Hello and welcome to talking about cross stitch with the stitching owl. I have to admit that this owl is a little bit tired today, but very happy. I spent the weekend with a room full of stitchers at Stitch North in Brampton, Ontario. And we were at the first weekend that Evertote and Roxy Floss Co. put on. There's another group of people that will be flying in on Thursday to have their set of fun this coming weekend. I need to give accolades to Carolyn and Karrie for everything they do to put on such an excellent weekend. Their support team that includes Hannah just made it so that it ran smoothly, and literally, I feel like my cup overfloweth. So, to be honest, I'm not sure how organized this particular video is going to be, but I'm going to share what I have stitched over the last couple of weeks and a few of the stories from Stitch North. Now, we had marvelous grab bags at Stitch North and many lovely, lovely gifts that were shared. I'm not going to recap all of those items because I'm going to invite you to go to Alissa the Forest City Stitcher. She came home and immediately that afternoon put up a video and showed all of the delightful goodies, and I don't think I need to repeat every word that she said because she did so well. There's a few things that I ended up with that were slightly different, so I will show those elements. But between us, I think you'll get a good idea of how our weekend went. I want to thank all of you who have subscribed and have returned for yet another video with me. I truly appreciate it, and I am very blessed to have quite a few more of you this time than I had the last time. A week and a half ago, did my first Zoom of stitching across the pond, and I was just having so much fun. It is a very well organized Zoom that I would recommend that all of you try. It's run so that we can all interact, but then each of us can have a chance to show what it is that we've been working on if we choose to. I want to take this moment to actually thank Sarah of Sarah's Stitching Spot for jumping in as I finished my little blurb about what I was doing to support me and what I do with my music and explain to those there what she thought they might be missing if they weren't subscribed to me. Immediately after that, my subscriptions number increased, and I'm now over 700. Now, we are at around video number 20, I believe. I am going to have another gift certificate giveaway at either video 25 or subscriber 750, whichever comes first. So as we go along, that should happen in the next few months. It might be sooner, it might be later. But I want to thank you all, and I did want to say that it was so special to meet people in person that I have watched for years and gotten to know through Zooms. I am going to risk missing people if I start listing off everyone. I will just say that it really was a goal of mine to be able to meet Sarah in person, and that was achieved. And for me, I had a conversation at the Superb Owl event with Angie, the Tiny House Stitcher, and I wanted to meet her, and she was there as well. Now, there was many Flosstubers there, and I am going to put a full description list below, I'm going to tell you that there's been a few glitches with my iPad, and I use my iPad to make these videos. So there may not be as much, if any, editing in this video if there's challenges with the iPad. And I apologize if that means that there's no music this time. I do have a piece ready to go. We'll see what we can do. And Derica is researching things that I can do to use different editing tools on my tablet or perhaps my laptop system for future, in case it's just that Apple seems to make it so that we can't add memory, and I'm not wanting to delete things that are on here. I have deleted everything I can. So we're just going to go forward from this time, but I will say, wow, I had a great time. My table at Stitch North, we had Lori of My Crazy Life. Yes, it is her planner that I use on a regular basis. So I'm just going to show you what that planner looks like. And I can tell you that, yes, there are plans to make another planner for next year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she comes up with. As Lori is so resourceful, I bet it's not identical. She always wants to do steps forward. So she was a delight to talk to. She drove 7 hours to get to us from the United States. I believe she's in Ohio. Melita came to our table. She was absolutely exquisite. And at a moment in the evening when the shops had closed down and I was like, oh dear, I forgot a color, she just tossed me the correct color. And it was so delightful that people are so sharing at this. I, of course, drove down with Lisa, the Forest City Stitcher, and roomed with her. It was so lovely to get to know her even better, and I didn't drive her crazy. She's invited me to join her again at the Fall Stitch North, so I am looking forward to that already. If I go to my left, we had 2 more people at my table. To my direct left, we had Deborah from Sudbury, Barry. Me and geography, not always a good thing. Which is interesting because I have a child who lives in Barry. Deborah and her husband were just exquisite people to talk with and share with, and I'm looking forward to having more moments with her at my table at future retreats. And then we had something very special that another Lisa flew in from Germany and joined us at our table. And oh my, she was so delightful. I want to keep up with each of these people. I don't think she's going to be able to fly again into Canada in the fall, but we will message her and we will keep her in our thoughts. And I just say to everybody, not just at my table, but at other tables, you were delightful. I had the opportunity to get information from about 8 tables. There was 31 tables in all, and I was afraid that if I went to every table that A, I wouldn't get any stitching done at all because I'd be spending all my time visiting, and B, that I'd be confused to look at my notes after and not be able to connect any of my written information with the faces and the stories that I learned. So this particular time, I stopped at that amount, and next time I will do yet more tables. Now, we did have a smalls exchange, and I was, of course, the typical stitching owl and forgot to take a picture of the bag that I made. I always make a bag out of cotton that is completely reusable for future gifts. Although when I spoke with my lovely recipient, who also has a floss tube that I'm going to list below, she was like, I'm not giving this away. I like it. So she was so delightful to talk to. And in the last couple of hours, I met somebody that I was just thrilled with by the name of Dory at the next table that I am looking forward to getting to know better. She came into town and then she was going to stay to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. She's a new flosstuber and I will put her information below as well. Now, I was speaking about the Smalls Exchange and another flosstuber, Alissa Jones, was the maker of what I chose. What we do is we go to a table and it's a blind choice. We look at the bag. Many people actually make the bag themed to match what's in it. Mine was actually delightfully in what looked like a Chinese takeout box with a beautiful bow on top. I had no idea what was going to be in it. And this is what was in it. Now you're going, and what is that? Well, let me undo it. So, I received a needle roll. Now, according to Alissa, she started it on Sunday and had it ready for me by the time she came on Thursday. So I'm amazed. That is very quick stitching and fully finishing. Wow. But I'm just going to show a little bit of a close-up of the stitching. Now this is Stitch North 24. Howbeit I have this right side up. Sorry, Alissa. Now it's Stitch North 24, and we have a proper alphabet with little animals. I think we've got a reindeer there and a crow, a lovely chain. And then on this side, what she did was I've got little pieces, it feels like velvet, and then places for the different needles. My husband's hoping I never drop one again and is very thankful that Alissa gave me this. I feel very blessed, and I had the joy of chattering with her for a while. Totally delightful. I've already watched one of her videos, and what I need to do is to go back to number 1 and follow through to get to know her even better. Okay, so that was that. Now let's see what I've got on a piece of paper here. Okay, glasses on for a moment. I want to say congratulations to 2 Needles Pulling Thread for reaching 8,000 subscribers. Wow. I'm just so pleased for you. I know that you too seem so surprised, but really you have a quality video that is so enjoyable to watch. I'm not surprised. I did send them a send a smile, and so I want to actually say thank you to Kathy for thanking me. Isn't that a cute card that she sent? So this was from Kathy and Missy. And of course, I do love anything with birds, so certainly you picked the right card. Now, on the same day that that one came, I received this thank you card. Isn't that sheep so cute with the heart-shaped wool? Such a lovely note. Valerie, you are so kind. And she enclosed 2 skeins of this DMC number 115 that I had never used before. Now, I don't know whether she had just sort of watched enough videos and thought, oh, I've never seen that, or how this went. But you're going to find out that later on in the video, I actually immediately started using it. So one of the skeins is already in use, and I love it. I'm going to be purchasing more of this. Valerie, thank you. As in you. I'd like to thank Janet Jabber for showing my stitching on her channel and for chatting about me and my channel. You're very kind, Janet. I'd also like to say thanks to Faith of Stitching at the Barn for the shout out. Faith does a once a month Flosstube and includes a hint of quilting and card making for those of you who are multi-crafters. It's a delightfully flowing video that I hope you will check out. So that was Stitching at the Barn. Thank you also, of course, you know who I'm going to say next? Laura, Stitching by the Shore, who finds a way to mention me on a number of her videos. You're so kind in your words, Laura. You have become a true friend, even though we've never met each other in person. And just before I leave this piece of paper, I'm going to say I found a new Flosstuber, the Crow Stitcher. Andie has, at the time that I wrote these notes, she had 2 videos, but I've noticed that she's actually put up, I believe, 2 more. So she's been a busy young lady. She does projects of all sizes, so there's something to fit everyone. And what really tickled me pink is that, and look, pink, she's doing a stained glass full coverage of Shirova Creations, but it's not the same one. It is also gorgeous. I hope you will check out the Crow Stitcher. Now, I have had a lot of fun reading the comments. Thank you so much for the likes and comments that you leave. And I had a particularly helpful subscriber who has jumped in to help me with my OWL alphabet. Now, let's see if I can find my OWL alphabet. I had a few letters that I was like, I have no idea how to get the entire alphabet about an owl. I was confused with regards to J, K, X, Y, Z, and I believe she sent me later a video, a message that also provided me with UV, and I seem to have forgotten to write them down. So for J, she said, owls are a joy to watch. K, they have keen eyesight, and I also thought I could write down Karen's favorite. X, now here's where I get educated by you guys. Xanthic, Z, X-A-N-T-H-I-C. It means having yellow pigment, and yes, there are yellow owls, and certainly on my stained glass owl, I have some yellow feathers. For Y, she said, we find them in our backyard. And when I saw that, I thought, geez, I should have thought of that one myself, but... And then for Z, she said, how about zany? Because they do act zany sometimes. So I, at this point, now have a complete owl alphabet. Thank you so much to my helper. And I now know anytime I get confused about something, I will just put out a call, and I'm sure she'll jump on and help me again. So this month, for the Magazine Monthly April, the theme is Down the River. Well, we know that owls live in trees by the river. So I said I would do 500 stitches. And then the acrostic was the word rowboat. So here we go. R, owls are raptors. O for owl. W for wings. B for beak. O for owl again. A for airborne when they fly. And T for talons. Now I said that I would do 350 for each of those, and that means that my total amount promised to stitch this month was 2,950. So a little later we'll find out whether I'm already there or whether I need to keep my needle burning at the midnight oil to get that reached. With Laura's prompts, I'm sometimes using my owl. So far, you saw last time that makes me laugh would be my garden gnome. Something blue, my owl has blue feathers. Related to the earth, owl are of flora and fauna on earth. Circle, the owl's eyes are circular. Something expensive. For that, so far my owl is the most expensive because of the amount of different colors that I have had to purchase to do it, but I do not begrudge it at all. Starts with A, the owl is airborne. Butterfly, I'm going to use my In Praise of Pollinators. Rain and Puddles, you're going to find that I use a, signs. I've got it over here. When it comes up, I'm going to tell you what that one is. And A Way to Travel is, of course, an owl flying. And the one with clouds will also be that one that I can't remember right now, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. For clouds and rain puddles will be together on the same one. So now let's talk stitching, and I'll put in a few stories along the way. I'm just dropping things to the floor today because my table is covered. As I said, I'm not going to show you absolutely everything because that would make this too long. Do I have a fully finished object? For the second time since I started, the answer is no, I don't. In that week before the retreat, I made about 40 luggage tags that I showed last time, and I tucked, so the luggage tag had a little page like this in it so that they could write details of what's in their project bag. My idea is that this would be for project bags that don't have the vinyl, so you could actually just put it on with a wire ring and have that work. And of course, I included my Stitching Owl sticker. So this is a design that my son did for me, and I am thank you to all of the people at the retreat who commented on how much they like that logo. I enjoy it, and it was so nice to be able to mention to my son how many people commented on it. So that was lovely. So there are no fully finishes because I was making treats to hand out. You are not obligated to do that, but I think you know by now I love giving things away. So the next question is, did I give out any ornaments? Because we all know that at Jacobpalooza everybody got an ornament. Well, there was about at least triple the amount of people at this retreat, at which point I would have had to have made about 200 or more ornaments, and no, I did not have that many done. I did hand out about 20 ornaments, and I tried to hand them to people that didn't get them at Jacobpalooza, so that they would have something to take home as a little memory from me. And I will start stitching again soon. My Send a Smile program is alive and well. I have sent a smile to a couple more people. And I am so pleased to say that Karen of KBH Stitches, and if I'm wrong with that title, I apologize. I will list it below, that she contacted me, and that on her next video, she is going to show everybody what it is that was her smile, and she assured me that she smiled, and that's what matters. So, did I have any finishes? One. Now this was actually a start and a finish. So I had said last time that I was going to support Elizabeth Savory of Savory Sewing with her Spooky Spring idea. I think it is actually a hashtag, though hashtags have mixed reviews within Instagram for how well they work. So what I did here will be made into an ornament by next time. This is a Doreen Jones silhouette pattern, and I have literally done it in 3 different flosses. There is, of course, the DMC 310. And in here, if I pull it closer, you can see that I had a lovely variegated white to yellow to go around here and in the windows. And then I think that that's 3685 that I used for the moon. Am I going to add beads? You're going to have to come back next time to find out. That is my only finish. So that means that we are going into whips already. So what I'm going to start with is my Quaker flag. Now, there is a hashtag Quaker Flag Sal that is being run. There is an Australian flosstuber, the Wombat Stitcher, I believe. I will make sure I've got the exact name in the description box below, who has initiated this, and it has gone worldwide. And Vivian Powers of Vivster on Etsy has done a wonderful job of creating these flags. Now, I haven't quite stayed up with my 1 square per week, but I am close. This one is almost half done. This guy right here was a new stitch, and you can see the beginnings of this stitch. Now, this is going to be the bottom of my flag, so that's how big this is going to be. So that means I'm ready to start going across. And I will go across either the top or the bottom, probably the top, so that I can comfortably say, okay, I've got it exactly right, and cut my material. I have said before that this is a 35 count opalescent linen. I don't know the manufacturer. Stitch Central didn't put it on the tag. And I am enjoying doing the stitching on my flag. I try to put in 1 to 2 strands a day. Sometimes I miss a day, and so I do an extra one when I do it. It's just that in the week where I was at the sewing machine, I didn't get to my flag enough times to finish my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm on my 10th box. But I think it's absolutely exquisite. I'm continuing to enjoy it, and I just look at this and think, oh, I'm going to be making ornaments soon out of these. I've got an idea how to do it a little bit differently than it's showing on this particular Quaker. So I'm going to invite you to come back to see. I'm going to leave that at a hint. So there's things that I'm going to also hint at. Next video, I'm going to come on in early May to do a short where I join forces with Michelle and Cheryl for what I consider to be something exciting. And we will explain it all the beginning of May when Stitch North is over and everybody is home and thinking about what next. So that's my tease for that one. And if you go to watch the 2 Bay Stitchers, you might get a few more details than I even gave you then. Okay, so story from Stitch North. I had the privilege of being there with Lisa, the Forest City Stitcher, and on Saturday it was her birthday. Now we didn't put a specific number on it, so let's just say it's the anniversary of her 29th birthday. And so we are doing the hashtag StitchNorthBDaySal. And what we're doing is something by the 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers. Now, there are a few freebies on their site that are not super big, which was something that was important to me, that I not start another big project. I do want to start getting things done. Lisa asked me how many whips I had, and I said, I think it's 12, and she was like, are you sure? Feels like it's more now. So I'm going to have to do a recount for the next video so that I know the real answer. So I chose, I'm not going to show the pattern because it was just the pattern, and while it's a freebie, I'm just really hesitant to do that because I wasn't the designer of the pattern. Now, it is an alphabet. So this is the alphabet that I used, this 115. Thank you, Valerie, again. And look, in about 2.5 hours, I got all the way from A to W. So I've got X, Y, Z to go, and then my borders. Now, my thought is that I'm going to make this into some sort of drum or spool finish. I might end up putting some beads on this because that's just what I do. If you're looking at that saying, is that really all that one skein? Because this is really dark. It is still red. Let's have a peek. And yes, that is all the one variegated color. You can sort of see how it ranges up there. So this is on a 32 count Lugana that I purchased at Stitch It Central, and it's called a Petty Point because it's got these ever so light green dots on it that sort of just give a texture from a distance and are charmingly cute when we get close. So I did that Saturday morning since Saturday was Lisa's birthday, and if you're wondering why, yes, the entire room did sing happy birthday to Lisa, and fortuitously, she was one of the people that won a door prize. Now, she didn't win the door prize on her birthday. It was a day late, but it's okay to have the birthday last for more than one day. She was going to be celebrating that day with her husband and lovely son, so it was wonderful that she was the one at our table that actually got it. We had one empty chair at our table, and when they were pulling numbers, the first opportunity for somebody to win something at our table would have been the person that was in that chair. So, these things happen. We could have had 2 people, but they just went on to another number because there was nobody that got up. Now, I am going to take this one off of this particular board because I also started, yes, there was 2 starts at this particular retreat. I started something else that I talked about the last time we were together. So Carolyn Zook wanted to celebrate the website of Stitching Mommy. Most people know her for her temperature charts, of which there's many options available. Her latest one is a set of turtles, and you can watch Stitching Mommy on Flosstube to see how her turtles are coming along. But she also has some patterns there, and she has a couple right now, and there will be a third soon, of Herschel and Lucy. Now, Herschel is a bird with a monocle. Love it. And Lucy is a ladybug. Now, I grabbed the pattern, paid for it, and I actually put it into Knit Companion, so that I could just take my iPad and I would have the patterns that I needed in there. I did not take the tablet with Pattern Keeper, so I left my biggest projects at home. I just thought it was best. Counting confetti at a retreat isn't something I do well, and I didn't want to have to undo everything that I did at the retreat. So my Herschel and Lucy has been started on that same petite dot. Oops, sorry. Now, this is the branch that Herschel is going to be sitting on. I expect to be able to get him in, at least in part, next time. So this is another bird for Crazy Bird Sal or Bird Nerd Sal that has been started. And you can see Lucy is a ladybug. Now, what I did not know when I purchased this was that the ladybug was going to be over 1. So that ladybug, I'd never done 32 count 1 over 1, and I was using 2 strands, so I opted for just the ladybug to use 10 stitch. So this is just half cross, but because it's so tiny, it fills it in beautifully. This is DMC 2 threads, and I'm mostly using called for, but not completely. Lucy was a little girl ladybug, and so the stitching mommy Sarah had opted for sort of a pink ladybug, and I decided I wanted a red ladybug. So that's where I've gone. Instead of pink and gray, I've gone red and black. And what you're going to find as I talk through my video is that I got there and there was a few skeins that I had left at home in my bobbin box because they were sharing stitch projects. And so some of those, if I hadn't already started stitching with a bobbin out of the box, I just picked up a Roxy Flosco that looked good and went on from there. So I'm changing the patterns again. I don't think Stitching Mommy's going to be worried about it, and I certainly know that Carolyn won't. But so Carolyn started hers on Monday, April 15th, and she got 2 days of stitching into hers. She did the bird, so if you want to see Herschel, go check out Cezuk Stitches, Flosstube, and I did Lucy the Ladybug. So I am looking forward to having fun with that particular stitch for the next few weeks. And yes, it is my hope that I can actually do that particular bird in just a few weeks, because I got lots more birds patterns at my retreat. So you notice I'm sort of going back and forth between things. At Stitch North, after we do our smalls exchange, they open it up for a freebie table where if you've finished some patterns and you want to gift it to someone, you can put it down, and then other people can pop over and see what's there and make some choices. Now, I came away with actually a lot of things. I did. Now, some of them, of course, are for my daughter, so I justify that. But just to show, like, I was talking about birds, but you know I wouldn't be able to leave this freebie behind. It's an owl. So this is a crosswing collection, and somebody had actually put literally 4 or 5 crosswing collections with all different birds on the table. So what I plan to do is to stitch them and then return the patterns to the table. We'll see if it's next year, sometime in the future, so that somebody else can have the joy of the stitch as well. But I think I'm just going to be keeping the owls. So that was a crosswing collection that I got. I got this set of smalls called Feed the Hungry. And yes, you're looking at it going, wow, those look just like the size of the smalls that I did for prairie birds. Absolutely. So I'm looking at this going, okay, this picture doesn't actually, even when I take it out of the plastic, I actually can't tell what's on some of these. But I'm going to stitch all 9 of them over the next little while as smalls and do the finishing, and you will see this come to life. Now, one big surprise that I had on the freebie table was this heartstrings. So they're called seasonal samplers, and they're all hearts, and there's supposed to be one for each season. Now, I was the odd one at my table who said, aren't specialty stitches fun? Everybody else was going, well, no. I like the basic cross. And you know what? That's fine. I know that I am not necessarily part of the biggest amount of people because I love to take double the time necessary to bead something, and I love to learn specialty stitches. But that's not the biggest surprise that this book came with. Let me just open up. One of them is done. Isn't that beautiful? So I actually get to look at this. So she has beaded these. Whoever turned it in. These are not beaded. Isn't that interesting? And then there's specialty stitches. So, hang on, did she? This is cut away. That's a form of hardanger. Well, I guess I'll find out when I read all the instructions, right? But I am going to actually do something with this because it's gorgeous and I am thrilled. I'm wondering whether they forgot that they put that stapled in there. They might have done it on purpose. If you were the one who did this, thank you. And if you're thinking, oh horrors, I didn't realize I'd enclosed that, please just leave me a message and I will mail it back to you. So that is just, I had a full bag from the freebie table that included this bag, which was the 12 Days of Christmas, complete with all of the mini frames. It's a complete kit. So I haven't decided whether I'm going to actually do this 12 Days of Christmas. I do want to do the 12 Days of Christmas for sure. I'll see whether it's that one or whether I have already bought a 12 Days of Christmas, not thinking that I'd be able to find something like that. So we'll see what happens, and I promise you will be the first to know what I've done with it. So that's my stories about the freebie table. Let's continue with what are you doing with your whips? And you all know that I'm doing hashtag praising Janine's pollinators because of this Nashville release in praise of pollinators. I got it started last time and had part of a bat. Now, if I can be completely honest, this is the one that got the most work while I was away. Now, I am using 20 count parchment Aida, which is a fiber on a whim product, and this is how far I got. So my bat is, there's 2 or 3 stitches missing there, but otherwise the bat is done. I've got some flowers done. These flowers are done, and this was a situation where if you are doing this, so Carolyn and Marlene, if you've already stitched this and went, mine doesn't look like that color, that's a Roxy floss. That was one that I owned the number of and left in my owl set of bobbins. So when we do this and look at this, when I get down to here, this is going on to the next page down, and when we get to here, this is going on to the next page across. I believe there is, it's either 4 or 6 pages here. I realize that this piece looks complicated. It's not a hard stitch. I was able to do the fill-in for the rest of this wing while I was doing my across the pond zoom, and I didn't have to take out a single stitch because it was fill-in. So I got all of that, and I got started on the belly because it just followed the contour, and I had to just watch that, and somehow I didn't make a mistake. I was ready to start. Yeah, I knew it was highly possible that I would count that wrong, but I didn't happen to. So I am absolutely thrilled. This is the beginning of a bee, and this is the beginning of a flower. So next time this here should be filled in, and maybe this part also, which would bring me down here. Oh, it must be only a 4-page pattern because somewhere around here is the center, because that's where Carolyn started. So when I speak of Carolyn and Marlene, I'm talking about the Sun City Stitchers, who are dear friends of mine, even though we haven't even Zoomed yet. But I am going to be in touch with them to see if we can Zoom. But in praise of pollinators, 20 count, Ada, I am having a lot of fun doing this. And if you were hesitant, no, it is not hard. Speaking of Zooms, I just want to say what a wonderful Tuesday morning passed this past Tuesday when I Zoomed for a couple of hours with Amy of Renewing Stitches. We do Zoom together with Sandy and a group every second Sunday. I continually tell you about the join us on the second and fourth Sunday of the month, which means Sunday coming up. If you get in touch with Stitching with Sandy, either via her email or Flosstube, she will give you the permanent link, which allows you to just come in and come and go as you want to her Zooms. So Amy and I do try and drop in every time. Sometimes it's not possible, but we're there. But we don't want to monopolize the conversation and speak over other people. So we have opted to have some private Zooms, and we actually did put in stitches. Oh my word, we put in stitches. So that was good. I was doing my dragon when I was speaking with her, and it was an absolute delight to meet her son. Absolutely a delight. So, wonderful. And if we go on with my next whip, and of course a whip is a work in progress, I made a little bit of progress on my Una Owl. What you're going to find is I'm not showing you all of my whips this week because I won't show you something unless I get at least 100 stitches on it, because it's not noticeable from the last video. So I have been working on my Jardin Privé au Fil de Nichois, but it wasn't enough to show you. And so there are a couple of whips in that category this week. No, I'm not setting them aside permanently. It is just a temporary situation. My Una Owl did get more in here, and the beak and the middle of these feathers have been filled in. I was not the only one at the retreat doing Una, and of course, Evertote has the recent release of Una with Coffee with a conversion of threads available, and many people were buying that. So I am looking forward to actually trying to fill in the rest of her face next week, and I think that we're missing a bite out of this flower at this point. I should rectify that bite. So Una is also being done on 20 count fiber on a whim Ada in a mint color. Now, while I'm talking about birds, because owls are birds, I would like to show you something that I was gifted from the next table over. that I'm not sure that Alissa had on her video. It's a chicken in a little rope bowl, which I think is delightful. And it's filled with rice, so you can use it as a weight. Say if I'm stitching outside, I can put it on a corner that I'm not needing that part of the pattern right now, and ta-da, I have it staying in one place. So thank you so much. I think this is absolutely adorable. All right, continuing with our chat about birds, I did continue my work with my peacock tree, which is part of the hashtag Jacob Sleeper Sal that Carmen of Cardamom Pins has started. Now at this point, when I left you last, I had finished one peacock. I now have two peacocks. So I don't really think it's going to take me that long to finish mirroring the feet of the peacock. I guess it's not a full peacock if he doesn't have feet. Go around the border, and I've got a little bit more of the foliage to put in. But he's coming along well. Right now I've got 2,951 stitches in, which is 65.5%. And I am stitching on a 32 count linen by Roxy Floss Co. called Light Sage. But I'm very pleased with this. So, lots of birds in what I am stitching. Now the next one is definitely not a bird. It is my dragon. So last time I had said I am past 50%. Hurrah. So what did I want to do for you today? I wanted to make it so that the backside of the dragon actually didn't just sort of drip down. It actually became the tail. And I actually have got a good portion of the tail in. Now, I was surprised. I hadn't realized in looking at the pattern online, and somehow I missed it when I picked out all of my colors, that he was going to have a rainbow tail. Look at that. Now, this is the top of the tail. This is not the bottom. It's going to go down a little bit further to here with some more colors. But that means that I actually cut my Rumbling Thunder. It is Lugana by Pell Stitches, and it's so it's an even weave that is delightful to stitch on. I'm using 2 strands of DMC with called for colors almost throughout. One of them I went on to a DMC converter to do DMC to DMC because I just didn't have the number and I wanted to stitch that particular yellow. You can't tell which yellow it is that I did a close alternative for. So this is Dragon Keeping Time, and it's probable that I'm not going to be putting up my words this time just because of the challenges I had with rendering a video this morning that was only 28 minutes, and I know I'm double that now. So, Dragon Keeping Time by Maria Brovko, who is Cute Patterns by Maria online at Etsy. But I'm just, every time I am amazed that with this hourglass, there is no Krynic. You get all of the effect of this light and that there's little gold specks in the sand coming down 100% by her choice of colors of DMC. So for those of you who think, oh, I can only afford DMC, it's not an only. They are beautiful threads, and you can achieve absolutely exquisite things with them. And what's up next? Well, while I'm talking about the fact that I occasionally had to do a substitution, I just wanted to take a moment. Well, somewhere. Okay, let me see if I can figure a way to do this. I wanted to show you some Brin and Needle floss. So these are hand dyeds. Hi, Patty. And they're lovely. They are cotton. And when you look at this, you can see that she has found a way to be distinctive in how she does her hand dyes versus something like a Roxy Floss Co. So the speckling is absolutely lovely. I can't wait to use, I didn't have a pattern in mind. I just looked at these and thought, I've got to experiment with these. I really do. And figure out how one uses a speckled floss so that it sort of comes out as you envision it. And then I will know what patterns I would be using it for in the future. So I just wanted to show you that particular element. Is there anything else at this point from that? My table is literally full to brimming. Oh, look, there it is. There are the two that I wanted to show you so that they were quite close in color. So this is a peach and this is a peach. And that they're both variegated, but clearly distinctive. I got to know Karrie a little bit more at Stitch North. What a delightful lady she is. And I was not aware, I'm sure somewhere back in a video that I have somehow missed of Evertote, that it was explained that Roxy was her bird. She has birds and parrots. And Maine Coon cats, 2 Maine Coon cats. Oh, the stories about the animals. As soon as we talk animals, everybody's pulling out the pictures of their Shih Tzus and Havies, and it was so much fun. But it was a delight to get to know Karrie, and I hope I have reason to actually stand beside her many times in the future. I have offered to volunteer to help stuff envelopes at Evertote, and Caroline has actually said she might just do that. So I'm hoping so. And then what do we have? We have Under the Stars by Jacob Folk Embroidery. And yes, my middle is finished. Now, if you're stitching this and going, that looks just a little bit different than mine does, Karen. So I am going to be cutting it off down here. So I'll be mirroring that down here. I'm going to find out how to just put a lock on my tablet so that when I put it upside down, it doesn't correct itself, and then stitch upside down to this. And so now I need to do this side, finish out this side. I wanted to show you that I've talked to you before that this is Blue Moon Lagana, 32 count. And that right here, I am using 12 weight sulky thread, which is a twisted thread, which means that it is round, whereas mostly floss lies flat. This is the spool that I've been working with. I'm still on the first spool. Isn't that awesome? Because I know sometimes when we buy these and the price is higher than buying a couple of DMC, we wonder if it's worth it. This is worth it. I do have a second spool. I doubt that I get through the whole second spool before I get through this whole thing. So this, I'm super proud of and very happy with. What I did here was, my goal was to completely finish that. I did that Tuesday morning before, so about a week ago, almost a week ago. And then I said that was what I wanted to achieve for today's video. So I set it aside to have time to do some sewing. Now, what are my particulars? Ooh, they're down here. And so, under the stars, I right now am at 15,157 stitches. Now, if you're doing the entire pattern as is, that is 28%. But because I'm cutting it off, I would say I'm around 50% on this one too, which means that I continue to have 50 as my favorite number. And I will say, oh, to be 50 again. Yes, that was over a decade ago. And then that brings me to the one that everybody is so encouraging of. And I had people asking, did you bring it? And I did not bring my owl to Stitch North because my owl has not been folded across its stitch lines. Since starting to stitch, it's not been folded across those lines. I just keep moving the fold out, out, out. And I didn't want to have that happen. Thank you, Candace, of I Can Sew That, for asking. My goal with the owl, I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I'm going to try, is to put in the last 100 stitches at Stitch North October. A number of us at our table got to put our heads together and thought, how can we sort of do this so that we can ring the cowbell? Yes, there was more cowbell. My husband put a song on my phone. Oh, Don't Fear the Reaper. It was a Saturday Night Live skit where Jack Farrell was dancing around trying to get more cowbell in, and it was a lot of fun because they of course put him in a t-shirt 2 sizes too small and 4 inches too short. So every time you had a finish at Stitch North, you got to ring the cowbell and have somebody take your picture. So delightfully, 2 people at my table did indeed get to ring that cowbell, but we were all thinking, is there any way we can sort of stack it in our favor so that it's a little bit of a bigger project that we do that? I almost finished my haunted house ornament, but didn't quite. So the question is, where is my owl now? So we all know by now that this is a Shirova Creations. Excellent, excellent pattern. Slides into Patterns Keeper without fail and works beautifully. They provide you with 4 different sizes in this particular pattern and in a number of their other patterns. It depends on the pattern whether they provide you 1, 2, 3, or 4 size options, and they all have different amounts of floss required. I'm doing 400 by 400, which means that this is 160,000 stitches in total. And as of today, I have 86,426. I got to 54% today. I had hoped that I would be at 55%. I believe that means that I can take my picture. No, that's not it. Oh, it's on the floor. Excuse me. So I needed to get 2,950 stitches on my owl in April. So then I turned to April. So let's just call that 3,000. April, I started my owl at 79,000. Yeah, I can take my picture and post that I have accomplished my magazine monthly challenge goals, where Robin and Carolyn have a lovely site with acrostics and challenges and once a month Zooms. It is fun for me, and the flavor of that Facebook group is very, very positive. People are complimenting each other constantly. Now, you're wondering, where's the owl? So, I need to step back. There's the owl. So I did this particular feather last night. It was over 500 stitches all on its own. My goal that I told you for today was to get some talons in. So I got the first foot in as well, and you can see that there is some shading in there that really picks up the light in the same way. This is like, it's an amazing job of creating this pattern. Shirova designs are amazing. So there are a few stitches, a few confetti stitches not gone in yet. I try to get at least 10 in different spots so that it's worth threading the needle. So there are a few stitches missing here and there. Even in the tummy, there's a couple. There's not many now, but there is a few. But I want to get the other foot done and down below it. And once I've got this area done, you know that I'm going to come up and start working on giving my owl 2 eyes. So I continue to be absolutely happy stitching that, and it did feel weird not to stitch it while I was away, but turning on the light to stitch in the middle of the night is not going to make me a very popular roommate, so I left him at home so the temptation would not be there. Is there anything else? Oh, yes there is. Okay. So I was good. I only purchased 3 pieces of fabric. This is a beautiful cloud break. I have got cloud break going someplace else that is, maybe it's cloud break that Una Owl's on. I will confirm that before I put anything in the description box. I thought I'd bought 32. Apparently it is 28. Oh no, I know what I did. I looked at the 32 and I looked at the 28 and I said, and I felt it and it was like, okay, this can be a 28 1/1. It's the right amount of softness versus having body for me to be able to use this for 1/1. The lady before me, I was just standing talking to Karrie and somebody came and she had wanted to choose a fabric for a mirabilia. I think she's going to be gorgeous on this. So it's so subtle, but it's definitely got that movement in it that would make a fairy or lady look like they were dancing or flying. I also wanted to try Brennan needle, so I have this one whose tag has fallen off in my luggage. I will have to look that up, but it's a pretty color of peachy pink. And then I've got a pretty turquoise color. It's not as beautiful on the, you're not seeing the beauty of this fabric, but I wanted to support Patty, and I want to try out her linens as well. I kept saying earlier I was missing something, and it was this pattern. Okay, so we have clouds, and Laura of Stitching by the Shore with her challenges said, why yes, I could defend the idea that if there are clouds and rainbows, there must be puddles somewhere, so I can use this small for puddles. Now, I am doing this on Mushroom Lugana, and okay, I think I've got a little mix-up of writing on this tag from Stitch It Central, because it says Lugana and it says 20 count, and 20 count is usually Ada, not Lugana. So this is what I've got so far, and if I hold those up at the same time, you're going to say, wow, those don't look alike. No, I'm completely converting this. So I am using my 20 count sulky threads because I've now got a collection, so I've got a number of colors to pick from. I thought this blue variegated spool was perfect for a cloud, and I do enjoy this particular piece of fabric. But now that I know that this is the 20 count, I'm sure Una is on something different. So this is a tiny modernist, and there is a sal going on for the day sign sal, and I believe it's the Peacock Stitcher and Julie in Stitches, who I do love watching their videos, that they have started that. I'm stitching along, and Allison of the AZ for Arizona Family Zoo is stitching along too. If you haven't been watching her, I hope you'll give her a look. Her work is beautiful. She has an Etsy site where she sells her patterns, her project bags, and delightfully within her videos, she also includes some moments for her animals that she has saved from just being put to sleep for convenience of the people, because they might have some medical challenges. And the last thing to just chatter about here is I just wanted to say thank you to Lisa. She went to the freebie table first, and she found one with an owl. So I'm probably going to have one more before next time, because I certainly want to start this one right away. Thank you, Lisa. So I did do shopping for patterns, and at this point, excuse me for a moment. Okay, I'm back. It was very fun to meet the designer for the Tiny Modernist. I invite you to look on Fat Quarter Shop, where they did an interview with her where she was so eloquent. She had ease while she was on the video, and they did a trunk show, so you will get to see everything. So I did buy some patterns for both myself and my daughter. My daughter has done some of the Tiny Modernist before, and so I knew that if I found something with cats, she would like it. The two that I want to show for Tiny Modernist is this. I just think this is absolutely exquisite, and I'd seen it online and had not pressed the button. Oh, nope, nope. Get back here. Show the puppy dog. There is Lola. She's had her spring haircut. So this was one that I had wanted to do. I just hadn't pressed the button, so I got that, and I'll have the loveliness of knowing I got it at Stitch North. And this book, she said to me, you could have bought it on Amazon. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I could get anything by Tiny Modernist on Amazon. But this, look at it, it's a thick book. And, okay, so if I just do this like this. So now I know I can only go part of the way in so that I don't, there we go. Look at all of the patterns. And some of them are Biscornu. I'm just amazed at how many wonderful patterns are in one book. I just want to show you, hang on. So for instance, there's a beehive that I think is calling my name. I don't know whether I'll be able to stop myself from starting some of her things before next time or not. The other thing that I did was I talked to the designer of Northern Pine Designs. Now, Northern Pine Designs is not the traditional cross stitch, but if you are somebody that watches the Evertote, you will remember that back a few months, Caroline was talking about counted canvas, and she showed a few examples of it that were absolutely exquisite. Well, there is a counted canvas. I actually have the canvas in the bag. It came completely kitted, so I've got all of this. I bought more than this, but I just want to show you one thing. I, of course, bought some Christmas ornaments that are three-dimensional. I don't know whether they'll go through the mail very well, though, unfortunately, for the Send a Smiles, but I'll leave it to me, I'll try. This is all like string art, and that was something that when I was young, my father would put nails into a wood board in a pattern, and then we would spirograph thread around the nails to make pretty patterns with it. And that's precisely what you're doing here. This is actually not as difficult as it looks. My biggest challenge is going to be convincing my brother to make me the frame out of leftover wood, so that you actually need to tack it into a wood frame in order to utilize the canvas properly. So I'm going to put her information. She's from Ontario, I think north of Ottawa, she said. I might not be right, because a lot happened in 2.5 days. But she is from Ontario, and she does have fantastic designs that reflect her love of being a Canadian and her love of nature. It's, if it would have been logical, I would have bought one of everything, but it wasn't logical, and I haven't tried it yet to make sure that I know how to do it, so one doesn't go overboard. So at this time, there may or may not be a piano piece. I promise to include one next time if there is not one this time. I actually have a whole bunch that I have recorded ahead so that I always have something available, even if the house is noisy, because for whatever reason, could be my dog. So here it is, if it is, and if not, I want to just say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for spending this time with me. My cup is full. I have just spent the weekend with a room full of people who love cross stitch, and then come home to have my time with you. It's, for me, it is making me truly look forward to retirement, where this is sort of what my life is about, having time with my husband and family, and just relaxing into my stitching. Yes, thank you for being you. It matters. I hope you've all had a wonderful week and are looking forward to next week. I hope that while my video was running, that you had a needle in one hand, cloth in another, and floss threaded into the right spot of the needle, so that as you were making, you made yourself happy. Goodbye for now. I will see you with special news that I will announce, and the two base stitchers will announce as well at the beginning of May. Bye-bye for now. I can't wait to see you again.